Seltzer Kings
podcasts.
Catherine Madison. Get down with your bad self.
Her nickname was Catherine the Great. She took that team and made them tri-county champions. You know, no one's ever done that before, or since. She and my dad were homecoming king and queen. They got married right after graduation.
It's kind of romantic.
Well, he was a big loser. Never made any money. Ran off with Miss Trailer Trash when I was 12.
Okay, that part's less romantic. My folks split up too.
Drag, huh? And he left my mom with nothing. She put herself through cosmetology school. Bought me everything I ever wanted. And never once gained a single pound.
Everybody, welcome to another episode of Boys Watching Buffy. We're just two boys watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, going through every episode, doing recap, review, reaction. We are your hosts. I am Joe Welke.
I am Vance.
And today we're talking about episode 3, titled Witch. It was directed by Stephen Cragg, written by Dana Reston. The original air date was March 17th, 1997. To an audience of 4.63 million people. And this doesn't have anything to do with vampires necessarily.
Not at all.
Already expanding the lore. I love it.
They got bored 2 episodes in and were like, all right, she can't fight vampires every episode.
Yeah, they're just like, that would be crazy.
Yeah, Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, slaying vampires?
Yeah. No, not in this series.
Nope.
They made it 2 episodes, and those 2 episodes aired in one night.
Yeah, so the second night, you're already off of vampires.
Yeah, and they still have that nice little intro about how she's a vampire slayer.
Yep. I thought it would go away, but no, it's still there.
Nary a vampire in sight. Angel wasn't even in this.
I missed Angel.
Yeah.
I missed his little show up, say something random kind of, yeah.
You know, this episode also had some really weird moments in it for me.
But are you talking about Xander in general?
I'm talking about Buffy's mom in general.
Oh, yeah. There's some lines in this one. Yeah, we can get into it.
Well, dude, the script for this is so weird. Like, it's so dated. It's really funny how dated it is, but like, it's even dated. Like, I never knew anyone that talked like anyone in this show.
I was thinking about it. Like, I wrote down, she's like wigging out is a term.
Yeah, I've heard wigging out, but she keeps saying like, I gotta book it, or she'll be like Jeepers or Peachy Keen and stuff. Yeah.
Like, there's even a Steve Urkel reference in here. Did I do that? Like, which is more relevant for the time, but yeah. Well,
there was also a reference to Sabrina the Teenage Witch in this, and it made me question, like, was Sabrina before this, or like, what's the history of that?
I mean, it's 1996 according to the tryout.
Yeah.
I don't remember if tryouts in school had the year on them.
I don't think so.
It's like this year's tryouts. Like, well, like, why would you have to write the year on the tryout sign?
No idea.
But this school's a mess. This school is
it's an absolute mess. This school is chaos, dude.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it and talk about how chaotic it can be.
Yeah.
So we open this episode with Giles, the librarian, reprimanding Buffy off screen, being like, I thought better of you. I expect better of you. Like, I thought that we were going to be like vampire slaying, and there's only one of you in the world, and you need to take this job seriously. And now you want to join a cult? And then it pans over to Buffy, who's in a cheerleader outfit, and she's like, what? I'm trying out for the cheerleader squad.
I'm like, classic high school drama.
And he's just like, I can't believe you. And she's like, what? I want to do something. I gotta have some kind of social life.
I want something normal. I want something normal. I'll still fight.
Yeah.
All right.
And he's like, don't you realize that you could be putting a lot of other people in danger because of this? And she's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. I feel like danger follows her, not the other way around. Like
Absolutely.
If she wants to be a construction worker, all of a sudden on that construction site, there's going to be a troll gargoyle or something.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it's not the other. It's like you do whatever you want and you'll stumble across something.
Yeah. And then after that little quick reprimanding, we see a scene of a witch putting something into a bubbling cauldron. And then it cuts to the intro.
Some Nickelodeon slime or something.
Yeah. Yeah, she puts. What did she put in it? Was it a doll already?
It looks like she's about to put in like a pendant, and then it's a quick whip pan over to like a cheerleading like doll hanging on like a clothesline, and she snatches it off. Yeah,
and she chucks it in that motherfucker.
Yeah.
And so then we see Buffy at the actual cheerleader tryouts, and Xander's there for some reason. He's the only guy in this room, and he's just gawking at all these fucking ladies.
Ooh, stretchy.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I love it. And then there's a girl named Amber who is trying out, and he's particularly gawking at her because she's doing like over splits on chairs.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh my God, she's so crazy. And then we start to hear all these rumors about her, like, oh, she's super good. She had a tryout with the LA Lakers, but she turned them down.
Yeah, she was a Laker girl, but she turned them down. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Buffy starts talking to this girl that we've never seen before named Amy.
Mm-hmm. And
everyone's acting like, hey, Amy, like we're all supposed to like know Amy.
Yeah.
But this is the first time we see this lady. And I say lady because this lady, as old as Xander looks and as old as Buffy looks, I feel like Amy looks 10 years older than even them.
I didn't really mind Amy's age look. I think it was really weird when she shows up and Willow says, oh, you're trying out? You lost a lot of weight.
Right?
It was like, whoa. And like this weight thing keeps coming up to the point where I thought this was going to end with someone being like overweight and like massively overweight on the couch, you know? Like if fast forward to this episode, like if you find out the mom is just like what's eating Gilbert Grape level, you know?
Oh, okay.
I thought because they kept bringing up brownies and weight and brownies and weight, like over and over.
Yeah, brownies play a big theme in this episode.
Yeah, apparently.
Chekhov's brownies.
Yeah.
So yeah, Amy's there, and they're like, "Oh, I really hope I make the team." And also, hold on, Buffy's the only person that's already in a cheerleading outfit. Everybody else is in like gym clothes.
If I have to rationalize, I think it's because it's weird because her uniform matches the school's uniform. But I was going to say she had it from like her last school because she was cheerleading. But no, she's like showing up to school in cheerleading, like not changing in the murder locker room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they're talking. They're all like, oh, look at Amber. And then Cordelia comes up and she's like, I'm going to make it onto the cheer squad and nobody's standing in my way. And then so we see Amber, who is like going off doing her cheerleading tryout. And Amber looks like she's really, really old as well. I feel like Amber is probably Buffy's stunt double.
Yeah, maybe.
And this is like, look, we'll promise we'll get you some FaceTime because you're such a good stunt double. And so she's doing all these flips that look very familiar to me. And she's doing, a cheerleading routine. And then all of a sudden she throws her pom-poms down and her hands just burst into flames.
Yeah, because she's like smoking and then Willow's like, she's on fire. And Cordelia's not even looking. She's like, way to be like, hyperbolic or something.
Yeah.
Hyperbole, what? And then she literally, her hands catch on fire. And it's the funniest like reaction because her hands are extended in flames, and she's just waving them. Like, she's not moving from the spot she's standing on.
Yeah, she's not stop, dropping, or rolling. She's still kind of like cheerleading.
Yeah.
Like, the show must go on.
And everyone else is just like looking like, oh my God. Yeah. And Buffy's the only one that like grabs a banner, and you think she's just going to run over the smother the fire out, right? Yeah. She tackles that girl so hard.
Yeah. She fucking Ray Lewis spears her to the ground.
Yeah, and then she's like, oh, I guess I should put the fire out now that you're unconscious on the ground.
Yeah, and she's like doing the patting thing, and then it looks kind of like she's spooning her, and it looked like she was like, to me, it looked like she was grabbing her boob. And I was like, what is going on?
Wasn't she over and like whispering something like, oh no, you're going to be fine. Just, just like kind of trying to be comforting.
Yeah. It was very odd.
And no one else reacts. Like, is she okay?
Nope. Nobody rushes over. Everybody's...
We never see her again.
Dude, nobody does anything. Anyone that's not Buffy in this show, like in the last episode, like people were getting murdered on stage and people are just like standing watching. Like this girl bursts into flames and everyone's like, whoa.
Well, this is my thing from last episode. Last episode, the stage, everyone's getting murdered the next day at school. They're like, oh, I guess that was just something weird that happened. We all forgot about it. Now, everyone is watching this girl's hand magically combust on fire.
Yes.
What is their thought process? How are they rationalizing that?
Well, look, I mean, Buffy does mention that it has been a week since she's even seen a vampire. So, but vampires are just gone. I think.
No. I mean, like, that would be all the school would talk about for the next year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, the internet's not prevalent. No one's, like, social media is not hitting. Like, this would be the biggest news in the world in that school. Yeah. But now, the next time, they're like, nope, we got to keep having tryouts.
Yeah, dude. We'll get to that in a second. So the next scene is Buffy's with Giles and she's confused. She's like, look, I'm used to vampires, but somebody's hands bursting into flames? I've never seen that. And Giles is confused, but he's intrigued. And he's like, maybe it's not a vampire. Maybe it's a witch this time. And and that's basically what we get there.
Yeah, is there anything else there? I don't know. Not really. They just do their info dumps.
Yeah, I think that Xander maybe has like some kind of line about like, yeah, she was smoking, or I don't know. But
he has some of the worst moments in this episode.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Yeah.
So then we see Buffy's mom in her kitchen opening boxes of like art pieces for her gallery or installation or something.
Like African fertility statues. Because I guess she's generic artist.
Yeah.
Running a gallery. Like, why were they not delivered to the gallery? Why are they in your kitchen? Like,
right?
Like Indiana Jones sized crates of artifacts are just sitting in the kitchen. She's opening it with a crowbar.
Yeah. Well, she's having a hard time opening it.
Having a hard time.
So Buffy comes in. She's like, hey, what's up, Mom? And she's like, oh, nothing. Got the gallery stuff here. What's up with you? And she's like, well, I had tryouts. She's like, oh, did you make it? And Buffy's like, do you even know what I was trying out for, you fucking non-paying attention bitch?
And this did answer the question of how the mom doesn't know that Buffy's a vampire slayer.
That is exactly what I wrote down. I was just like, this mom is apparently just clueless to any aspect of her daughter's life.
So oblivious, because she's been trying to open, and a bad person. Like, the daughter's coming in and telling her something, and then at the end, she can't open a crate. She's like, oh, why you're not going to give me a hand?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? You're mad that Buffy's not giving you a hand right now? And then Buffy goes over and just opens it with her hand. The mom doesn't even notice because she's just so oblivious.
Yeah, then she pulls out a fertility artifact, which apparently is some guy with a dicker, I guess.
Yeah, boner statue.
Yeah, and then Buffy sees it and she goes, jeepers. But yeah, this is just to establish the huge question we had last episode. How does the mom not know? And it's because the mom is insanely oblivious and basically refuses to learn anything about her tongue.
Yeah, like so to the point where I'm like, okay, you're not even paying attention. Even later, like the daughter admits that she's a vampire slayer, and the mom's just like, what?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think this scene also, like, it ends with Buffy trying to bond with her mom because she's talking about how one of the other girl, Amy, that's trying out, is always practicing with her mom, and she wants to, like, be involved with her life. And Buffy's like, it must be nice. And the mom's like, yeah, well, her mom sounds like a lazy bum and doesn't have anything to do.
Yeah. And it's like, okay. It's like a great middle ground of like, Buffy wants her mom to pay some attention to her. But the 3 hours a day, twice a day, is
that is a lot.
Excessive.
I was expecting our mom to be like, why don't you go practice with her?
Yeah, it's like, also, I don't know anything about cheerleading. I can barely open up. Like, what are practicing with me going to do?
Yeah, she was in the fucking yearbook club. What the fuck does she know about cheerleading?
And I just realized we don't get Buffy using any of her strength to, like, do big cartwheels or hold up people and stuff like that. That seems like where it could have been some fun being had with her holding up 2 people with one arm, and they're like, how are you doing this? And then no one actually being confused or freaked out, because no one gets freaked out in this school.
Yeah, and Buffy like brushing it aside, but being like, oh, I drank a lot of milk as a kid or something.
Like, milk does a body good. The surfer dude pops out of nowhere.
Yeah. Oh my god. So yeah, Buffy's Amy is trying out for the thing, and she's blowing it, and but before this, so we just had a scene with the girl whose hands caught on fire. Mm-hmm. Then after this scene with Buffy and her mom, we cut to the cheerleader tryouts again, and basically the head cheerleader is like, look, just because somebody burst into flames doesn't mean we're not going to have these tryouts, okay? We gotta have cheerleaders. I don't care who has to die. We're gonna keep doing this.
And it was like a close-up on her face. I was like, she's the bad guy, right? Like, she's the witch. I was like, this is awful.
Yeah. It's like, what the fuck, dude? I was like, you don't take a day?
No one's asking questions. No one's like, how did this happen?
No,
like, you tell the principal, oh, her hand's magically caught on fire.
Yeah,
he's like, hey... Buffy was there, right? She set a gym on fire. Like, I have to ask her 2 questions about this, at least.
Yeah. Nobody's like, well, is there something wrong with the pom-poms? Like,
for real. Just so, like, the cheerleading must go on.
So they go back to trying out, and Amy is trying out, and she's blowing it, and she like, does she fuck over? Is this when she fucks over Cordelia, or is this just like her not being able to do stuff?
There's a couple things before this. There's the one where Amy talks. She goes over to the case, and Amy's talking to either Willow or Buffy about her mom and the training. That's when they were talking about the training, but that's when they mentioned the dad. And she's like, my dad left. my dad left. He was a loser, and he never made any money, and he left with some trailer park lady. And it was just like, wow, this is an info dump of epic proportions.
Yeah, I wrote down, we get all of Amy's backstory.
We know more about her than we know about Xander or Willow.
Yeah. It's like, my mom, dad cheated on me with some trailer trash, and Buffy's just standing there like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah. I guess I didn't know you.
Yeah.
And then we have that scene with Xander and the bracelet, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, hold on. No.
Do we get the...
No, this is...
No, so that happens after. No, he gives the bracelet.
No. We do the backstory scene, and what happens next is that Cordelia bullies Amy in the locker room.
Okay, so yeah, we're all out of order on this thing. But what happens in the tryouts is they're doing cartwheels or something, and Cordelia's in the front, and then Amy does a cartwheel and loses her balance and runs into Cordelia.
Yeah.
And when she ran into her, that stunt, I really thought she could have hurt Charisma Carpenter. Like, she landed right on the back of her leg.
Yeah, dude, it was pretty intense.
Yeah. But then Cordelia gets up and she's like, that was her fault, right? You saw that? You saw that? I thought she was going to burst into tears. It went on for a long time.
Yeah, she was like, that wasn't me. Everybody here knows that it wasn't me. Yeah. It was her. It's not my fault. Mm-hmm. So after that, that's when we get Cordelia like bullying Amy in the locker room because she like, there's like a pan scare. I wouldn't say a jump scare. It's a pan scare.
Yeah.
They love that fucking effect in this. But Cordelia is standing there and she's like, I swear to God, if I don't make this cheerleading squad because of you, I'm going to fucking kill you, bro.
Yeah.
And then she like does an old school bully thing of like slamming a locker door and making a lot of noise.
It was like it was her locker and she threw something in it and then slammed the door, but the door doesn't close.
Yeah.
And I was also thinking like maybe 5 days ago, someone was found dead in one of these lockers and they're in the locker room at night, dark.
Yep. Yeah.
This school, man. This school.
So yeah, the next we get Xander talking about how he has the hots for Buffy, basically. And I think this is when he has the bracelet for her.
I think he gave it to her earlier because then he tries to ask her out later, right before the driver's ed thing, right?
Yeah.
So at some point he gives...
Yeah, at some point he gives her a bracelet that says, like, yours always or something.
Yours forever, something. And those bracelets were pretty big in the 90s. Yeah. Those, like... metal plated, those like silver plated chain bracelet things with something written on them, and he gives it to her, and it's to a point where you're like, what?
Yeah.
Why?
It's like, dude, you really gotta cool it.
And there's a part later where he's like, hey, he's talking about Buffy with Willow, and he's like, oh, was she wearing the bracelet? Because she's wearing it. It means like it's like we're dating. It's like we're going out. And I'm like, yeah, that seems middle school at best. Maybe elementary school. Like you gave her a bracelet, and if she puts it on, you're dating. Like
maybe he's a pure-blooded virgin, Vance, and he doesn't get it.
Yeah, I guess so. I think so. I'm not even sure what his coolness level is.
Yeah, I don't know either. Because I thought that he was like middlingly cool, but now he's seeming like he's a huge fucking loser.
He could probably get some pity if people knew that his friend died, who hasn't been to school.
Possibly. But yeah, he's basically talking to Willow about how he's got the hots for Buffy. And I think this is when he asks her if she's wearing the bracelet. And then he basically is like, I love talking to you about this stuff because you're just like a dude. Like I can talk to you about anything and you're like a guy, but you got lady parts. And Willow's like, great.
I'm like a guy. Awesome.
So, yeah, I feel like this is good. The start of the Willow Xander. Will they, won't they?
It's a good setup payoff for this scene, though. For later.
Yeah, absolutely. And then... Buffy and Amy don't make the team for the cheerleading squad. Like Buffy's first alternate and Amy's third alternate. And Xander's like, you made it.
And now I was just like, God, Xander might be the dumbest person I've ever seen on screen.
Yeah.
What does he say after he says it? He's like...
It's something like one of those things where he's talking to himself where he's like, Xander... cretin of man, biggest caveman brain of all, or some shit.
Yeah. And every person in this show has that.
Yeah.
Because even the mom has great parenting, bad form on the dismount, or something like the mom says. It's just like everyone's going to have these post-conversation like sequiturs that they're going to say that it's overly witty.
Yeah.
And for nobody.
Well, it's like they are also too long. Like if the mom, when Buffy walks away, is like, great parenting. Like I could see somebody doing that.
Yeah.
But she's like, great parenting form. Really messed up the dismount on that one. It just keeps going.
10 like points, Xander. 10 points for the Russian judge, 7 for the... like it's like, you're done. You're done with your little bit. Your bit is over.
Yeah. Like Xander had like 3 of them, I feel like, in this scene where he's just like, dumbest man alive, cretin of man, caveman brain, or something. I was just like, Jesus.
The only one I kind of like that he did is later when he does the like bomb sound.
Yeah. And that seems like acceptable.
That's acceptable. That is, yeah, totally.
Yeah. So Amy's distraught, and then we get and then Cordelia walks by, and she's like, see, I made it, and none of you losers did. And then we see Amy kind of look at her like, ooh, I'm gonna get you.
Yeah.
And then we cut to a scene where like somebody's with the witch's cauldron, and then she's like making a spell, and she's like, I'll sacrifice Cordelia. Yeah. And she wraps like a stocking around her face or her eyes and everything.
Yeah, I don't understand what the wrapping was. And that's when I wrote down voodoo witch. It's a mixture of voodoo and witchcraft.
Yeah. Because it is involving dolls, it seems like, and that's pretty big in voodoo, right?
Yeah.
Voodoo dolls, that's a thing.
That's what it seems like. And she has to have like some element from the person, it seems.
So I think that it worked out, and she wrapped whatever around her eyes because later on she like went blind or something.
Yeah, it didn't seem like when we first see Cordelia that she's actually going blind. It seemed like she was really confused.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't the movement of... It looked like she was zombified, is what it felt like. And it wasn't the movement of someone who's, like, losing their vision.
Of course.
Yeah.
So then we get a scene with Buffy and her mom just walks into the kitchen with where Buffy is, and she's like, hey, look, I found my old yearbook. Look at me. And then she's trying to convince Buffy to join the yearbook club. And Buffy's like, the yearbook club is for fucking losers, Mom. And the mom's like, I had a lot of fun when I was on the yearbook club. And she was like, yeah, because you're a loser.
Well, this is where I thought we were going to get a twist. Which we kind of get the twist at the end. And this is where I thought we were going to get the payoff for that twist. Was that Buffy was going to check at the yearbook and see that Catherine the Great, or she was going to see the mom's yearbook and see that the mom in there was like the same age as something. I thought it was going to be one of those like photo things that were going to be like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah, so did I. Yeah. I thought that, and like when the mom just walks in with the yearbook, I was like, oh, this is going to tie into the story somehow, and then it doesn't.
It absolutely doesn't. Like it's like a red herring, but they don't even like push it enough for it to be a fake thing. Because I was like, oh yeah, the yearbook club. There has to be something about yearbooks and seeing a photo. And it's just like her coming in to be a bad mom and talk about yearbooks. Yeah.
And be like, you should join the yearbook club. And this is where we get the line about like great parenting for fucked up the dismount. Yeah. It's just like, geez, Louise.
I will say the mom and Cordelia have thankless roles in the show. Like,
absolutely.
Being Cordelia there's no gray area. There's no nuance.
No, she's just an awful person.
Yeah.
Which is referenced later on, I think. So we see, speaking of Cordelia, we see her waltzing around school, and she's like out of sorts and looks like she's kind of confused and like doesn't know where she is. And Xander, for some reason, is like, hey, Cordelia. And she just walks by him. He's like, wow, she didn't even take the time to bully me. Like, what's up with her?
Yeah, was this the scene where he's like, oh, you haven't bullied me at all today? Did you forget about something? Like,
yeah.
Which is kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah. And then Willow is like, and he's like, she doesn't even notice me. She's just like Buffy. Oh.
Like, Willow, you don't have to hang out with Xander.
Yeah.
Like, you don't.
Yeah.
He's dead weight on this team.
Yeah, he's really like, oh, except that like when Cordelia doesn't notice me, it's a gift, but when Buffy doesn't, it's a curse.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think I should just man up and ask her out. What do you think? Should I? What did it say? Like, should I futz around or something?
Yeah, and then Willow's like, you should definitely man up. And then like 2 seconds later, she's like, or you should futz around. I don't know. I've never done it.
I don't know. I have conflicted feelings about you.
Yeah, I have very awful fashion sense, even for the 90s. Like, she's wearing like knit fucking awful sweater vests and stuff.
Well, they have to like desexualize her and nerd her up.
Yeah, they have to convey that she's a nerd.
Yeah.
So she has to wear potato sacks all over the place. So then Xander's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do it. But before he does it, Buffy's walking down the hallway and she sees Cordelia. And she looks at her and she's like, something's up with her.
Mm-hmm.
And then so Xander's like, all right, giving himself a pep talk. He's like, all right, I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go ask her out. And then he walks up to her and he's like, hey, Buffy, I think it might be really cool if we... And she's like, shut the fuck up, Xander. You see Cordelia?
Yeah. We'll continue this nonsensical conversation later. I got to go follow this girl.
Yeah, and that's where he's like, ooh, blew it.
Yeah. He's like, and I'm like, that you didn't blow it that bad, but
yeah. So Cordelia's acting weird. She starts walking off campus, and like, where's the principal this time around? Like, he was very vigilant about Buffy walking off campus, but Cordelia's just like beelining for whatever.
She's going to driver's ed.
Yeah, which it feels like it's like 40 miles off that campus. Like, it doesn't seem like it's at the same place.
It also didn't seem like her when she's trying to get into her locker when they notice her. It didn't seem like that was. It seemed like she was lost and didn't know where she was. Not like, oh, I can't open my locker or I can't see the code to open it. And then she staggers all the way out to the driver's ed thing. And he's like, oh, thanks for showing up. And she's like, I don't want to drive today. And he's like, get in, you already failed twice. And I'm like, if someone says they don't want to drive today, you don't make them drive.
Yeah, who's already failed twice?
Yeah.
Plus, she has to have had her license for at least 20 years at this point because she's 45 years old.
And I didn't do driver's ed through school at all.
Me neither.
And I also didn't drive in a car with people in the back seat.
Nor did I. Also, the driving instructor in driver's ed has a special car with a brake that he can brake and stop the car.
Yes. I was going to bring that up.
Not at this school.
No. Apparently, it's his car from home. Yep. He had to bring it.
He's got to take his grandma to get groceries, and he's just having Cordelia drive him.
Yeah. I'm like, he has a brake. He should have a brake. But it's not somewhat more of an exciting scene if he doesn't, I guess. I don't know. Because it's only mildly entertaining.
Yeah. So Cordelia gets in. You kind of start to see her POV, and it's like blurry, and it seems like she's losing her sight. Mm-hmm. But then she's just like driving, like flailing her arms around, like whoa, whoa, whoa. And the driving instructor's like, turn right. She's about to hit people. She crashes into a fence and just goes out into the middle of the street. And then the car stops for some reason. Yeah. And then he's like, everybody out. Yeah. And then Cordelia gets out and we see her. It looks like she like looked directly into the sun or something. Yeah. And she's standing in the middle of a street for like a very long time. And there's a truck coming.
Yep.
And the truck's just barreling down. And Cordelia has at least 15 seconds to react.
Yes.
And she doesn't. And the truck also has 15 seconds to react. He sees a crashed car, people getting out of the car, a woman just standing in the middle of the street, and he's just like, I'm going to keep driving.
Yeah, I think the truck sped up.
Yeah.
It was such a long time because they crash in the street and one car swerves. So we know in this world, cars can see cars and swerve out of the way. Right?
In this universe, cars are visible.
Cars are visible. And meanwhile, Buffy's watching this whole thing with her like squinty face that she does. She has this like squint when she's like, that looks weird or peculiar. And she's like walking out. And when she gets out of the car, she's in the middle of the street. The driver's ed guy is not paying any attention to her. He's not like, hey, kid, get out of the street. Nothing. Nope. No one else there is doing anything. And she's standing. You can hear the truck coming. Like, her ears should still work.
Yeah, and like from what we saw, it's just blurry. Like you can still see moving objects. Like when I walk around without my glasses on, I can still see that the world exists. Like,
she screams because she knows the truck is about to hit her at some point too.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
She does see it at the last second, I guess.
At the last 12 seconds.
Yeah, it's like that scene in Austin Powers.
Yes, I was just about to say that.
Where the steamroller's coming.
Yeah,
and he's like Miles.
No!
Get out of the way.
But of course, this is when Buffy runs over and just Ray Lewis tackles another woman.
She is good at tackling people.
She shouldn't be trying out for the cheerleading squad. She should be trying out for the football team.
I will say this tackle was less hard, I think, than the tackle on the cheerleader on fire.
Yeah.
Like, this didn't just kind of, like, she kind of drops on her and then pulls her instead of just, like, wiping her across the screen.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. And then the truck just speeds by, doesn't hit its brakes. It's gone. It keeps going.
It doesn't stop at all.
No intention of hitting its brakes. And then they're on the ground and, like, I guess Buffy's like, yeah, are you all right? And you look over and she's like, I can't see. And her eyes are all, like, milky white.
Yeah, she's doing, like, the Undertaker thing where her eyes are rolled back in the back of her head.
It's like, oh, what? And you're just like, okay, cool. Yeah.
So then everybody goes to meet up with Giles in the library. And they're discussing, like, what could be possibly happening? And then they kind of deduce that they think that Amy's the witch because everybody that's getting hurt are cheerleaders that are above her in the rankings or whatever. So Giles is just like, I don't know why the fuck anyone would cast spells to be on the cheerleading squad. And then Buffy's like, it's a lot more complicated than you think, Giles.
And this scene has the moment where Willow's like, oh, I'm going to hop on the computer and look up who checked out any books, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I get it. She's doing some stuff. And Xander doesn't want her to check, right? Because it turns out he's the one who was checking out, like, these witchcraft books.
Yeah.
Apparently for, like, the semi-nude photos in them or something. And then it dawned on me that Giles is the librarian, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if someone checked those books out, they would have to check them out with him.
Yep.
So he should know if anyone checked out any witchcraft books.
Yep.
Seems like that would be right up his wheelhouse.
Yeah, that's literally his only job.
His only job is to... He's like, oh, you just got this random Gladwell book. Cool. Oh, you're checking out witchcraft? Noted in my Watcher book. Like, yeah,
like, I feel like he would know if, like, especially Xander, because now he's working closely with Xander.
Yeah. Is Xander, like, stealing that? Like, there's a record. It just didn't make any sense that why Willow is the one checking this up.
Well, this is also a scene that I loved where where Giles is like, who would possibly want to cast a curse on Cordelia? And then Willow goes, have you met her? It's just... I was like, damn, Willow, all right.
No, Willow does not like that girl. I mean, no one should like her. I mean, she's not... I don't even understand how she's popular.
Yeah, I don't either.
Because this school is full of, like, lookers, too. Because everyone's a model in the school.
Yeah, there's no diversity in this school.
No, it's just
like Cordelia is the diversity, and it's just because she's got brown hair.
Right. It's true. It's so true. That's why she's so angry. She hates it. So then I don't know what this scene was, but it's basically like, we need to get Giles. It seems like he explains that they need to just get any witchcraft book. Any witchcraft book. And does he, like, solve? He's like, oh, this is the formula we need to end it. We need Eye of Newt, this thing, this stuff. Oh, it's probably in the chemistry lab.
Yeah, like, and some of her hair.
Yeah, and I was like, wait, did you just make this up? Like, when did you?
Yeah, I don't know.
Luckily, they all have chemistry class next period.
Yeah. And Amy's in the chemistry class with them. And it just so happens that they're dissecting frogs.
Not newts, but sure.
Not Newt.
Yeah.
Also, Eye of Newt is like a fairly ubiquitous witchcraft thing, and I don't know where did that come from. Like, I wonder where that came from.
I think it was just in stories, and then like I guess witches were near like swampy areas where newts would be there. So it's just, I don't know.
That makes sense.
But an eye of a frog is not the same as an eye of newt.
It is not.
But in this case, it's fine.
Yeah, they're reptiles, right? Or amphibians.
Yeah,
it's all the same.
Eye of snake, sure. Yeah, just throw it in there. Yeah,
it's all the same.
It's witchcraft. It's not science.
Yeah. So they enact their plan in the most obvious way possible.
God, yeah.
Amy keeps looking back at Willow and Xander, and Willow and Xander are just staring at her
and talking full volume about her being a witch.
Yeah, just like zero attempt to hide what they're doing. And then Buffy walks over and she's like, "Hey, what's up, Amy? Can you help me with this?" And she's like, "No." And then she's like, "Okay." And she just bends over and like rips a bunch of her hair out of her brush.
Yeah, I'm like, she drops a pen and does a brush rip. Before she was like, "Hey, can you tell me which one's the sulfuric acid or this thing?" And she's like, "The one that says it on it." Like, Buffy has no subtlety here.
No. This is the least subtle thing ever.
This would have been a really fun scene if they had to do it all sneaky like, and they don't. It is not any Ocean's 11 on this. They are just like, "Hey, look over there." Yeah. I thought she was going to cut the hair out of her head.
Me too. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought that her little pen was going to like double as scissors or something. And then she was going to be like, "Oh, whoops, sorry." But no.
Oh, that'd be amazing if Giles turned into like James Bond's like equipment assistant and just start making all these weapons. Yeah, he just started making all these weapons for her. This pen turns into scissors when you need to snip hair. Oh,
that'd be so cool.
Yeah, maybe we'll get that. He is British,
He is.
Yeah.
Is it me, or at some angles he looks like young Michael Keaton?
He looks like someone, and I'm not sure who. I wouldn't say Michael Keaton, but I can see some bone structural stuff there.
Like, especially from Batman 89, like they have the same glasses and the same kind of like mullet haircut. And from some angles, I'm like, he looks just like Michael Keaton.
I mean, this is a Giles episode.
Yeah, like, it's Giles heavy.
Yeah.
Well, because it's not a vampire they're fighting.
Yeah. So the other 50% of the episodes where I'm fighting demons and ghouls and stuff, he'll be the hero. And Buffy will just be like, "I'm kind of strong and can punch things." Yeah. So... yeah, go ahead.
So then Buffy walks over to Xander and Willow and drops off the hair, and they put it in this giant beaker, and then they like mix it up, and they're like, "All right." And meanwhile, Amy's looking back and watching them do all of this.
And there's a teacher teaching class too. Yeah. So I don't know what's happening in this school, man. And there's like zero subtlety. Amy is just staring at them while they do it.
Yeah. And they're staring back. They're not. Yeah. So then they put it in a beaker and they give it to Buffy, and they're like, "What are you going to do, Buffy?" And she's like, "All right, well, I'm going to go fucking dump it on her, because if her skin turns blue, then she's the witch." So she walks over, doesn't do like a subtle trip to like, she just is like standing next to her, and then she just kind of just dumps it on her arm.
Yeah.
And her arm does turn blue. Mm-hmm. Buffy looks and is like, "Oh, I know shit is up." Mm-hmm. But then somebody to the right of Buffy starts panicking and freaking out, and then they turn her head and she doesn't have a mouth anymore.
Yeah.
And this prosthetic is rough.
Yeah, it's a bad latex fight. They weren't at the level of Yeah.
Yeah. It was rough, but still a kind of a creepy visual.
Yes. And it just leads to a million questions.
Absolutely.
Question 1. In a chemistry lab, when you spill chemicals on someone, that's not good.
No.
That's not good at all.
They have special sinks if you do that.
Yeah, like that is not like, "Oops, I'm sorry, I spilled my beaker of liquid on you." It's the chemistry lab. Safety first. Second, a girl turned around and her mouth was sealed shut in an abnormal way.
Yeah.
Not like her.
Yeah,
Not like her.
Not in a normal everyday way.
Not like her mouth. Like she got lockjaw and she can't open her mouth and talk or something. It is no lips, no mouth, just flat.
Yep.
She's freaking out. Hey, school, what's going on? People are getting set on fire. People are losing their mouths. One girl just went blind. And we don't know. Is Cordelia like in a hospital right now?
Yeah, I have no idea where Cordelia is.
Yeah.
She's probably been stuffed in a locker next to a dead guy.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, all the problems they just stuff in a locker at this
like, don't go to the locker. Like, I was just like, my God, like if that happened in the school, that wouldn't be like oh man, that's weird. Let's go to the library and talk about it. It's like police would show up at some point, right?
Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to be doing something here, but nobody's doing nothing.
Are the parents? I want to see a PTA meeting. And all the parents are just texting. That cell phones aren't even around like that. And they're just texting.
Oh, dude, this school would have so many lawsuits on their hands.
Hey, my daughter came home and she didn't have a mouth. What are you doing in chemistry class?
Well, we were just dissecting frogs and then mixing chemicals.
I have newts and hellmouth? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
God, it's so ridiculous.
So after we see this, they have a kind of discussion there, like, well, she can't be the witch because she didn't cast the spell. Well, like, she was right in front of us, so she wasn't casting a spell. But she could be the witch because I dumped the thing on her and her skin turned blue. So we don't know what the fuck to think. Yeah,
they were like, everyone reacted really big, but she didn't react that big when she saw that. And I'm like, no one reacted that big.
Yeah.
Like, everyone was like, ooh, gasp.
Yeah. So then we get a scene where Amy comes home and she starts bullying the mother.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, wow, what the fuck's up with this? This is odd. Because the mom is supposed to be the one that's bullying Amy.
Yeah.
Because Amy's not living up to her mom's reputation as the world's best cheerleader.
She's not Catherine the Great, which is ominous to begin with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So then she's like, why don't you just sit there and be stupid? I'm going to go cast some spells upstairs, basically.
Yeah, she's like, oh, I'm not a cheerleader yet. And Buffy and her friends are spilling liquids on me. And
yeah. So now I got to go cast a spell to fuck up their life.
Yeah.
And then it's commercial break. And then back from commercial. We got an alarm going off. Buffy slams the shit out of it and breaks it into a million pieces.
Well, she dropped, before that, we see her drop that, she stole that bracelet that Xander gave her to her.
Right.
Which, at that point, I'm wondering if, you know, you have to have something of someone's personal effect.
Mm-hmm.
That bracelet seems so new that I think it would affect Xander more than it would affect her.
Okay, that's good logic.
You know, like, is it really her possession at that point yet? Like,
yeah,
it needs to be like something you've had for at least more than like a day.
Yeah, because like to figure out if Amy was the witch, they needed to like rip out some of her hair.
Yeah,
that's like something that's with you, you know, all your life. But she just got gifted a bracelet like literally 2 days ago.
Oh, was that thing that she wrapped around the Cordelia doll? Was that something from Cordelia? That like fabric?
Not that I can recall.
I don't think so. Yeah. So I don't know if the logic even makes it. Whatever. Just drop anything in, I guess.
It looked like a scarf or something. So yeah, then Buffy slams this fucking alarm clock, shatters it to a million pieces, and she comes downstairs singing Macho Man way off time, way off key, bouncing around because she's happy because she made this cheerleading squad now.
Is that what she was happy about? I wasn't sure if this was the case of whatever the curse was or whatever.
Well, it was.
Okay.
It was. We found out later that the curse works in a way that's like, it makes you like drunk.
Okay. Yeah. Like she's blood drunk or something.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess it's just drunk.
It makes you drunk and then it kills you.
Yeah. So she's riding a high before the hangover.
She's bouncing around, talking to her mom, and her mom's like, hey, I just wanted to apologize about the yearbook club. And then Buffy's like, don't worry about it. You don't get it. You don't get how hard it is being me, being a vampire slayer. And the mom's like, what? And Buffy's like, don't worry about it.
And Buffy keeps going, ooh, juice.
Yeah.
Not from concentrate. Great. Ooh,
Yeah.
juice. And I'm like, is she... Again, at this point, I'm thinking, oh, Buffy's going to get really fat because we reference weight a bunch, you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm like, I don't know if chugging freshly squeezed orange juice is going to do it, but I thought something was going to happen with that angle. I was ready to see a 90s fat suit.
I felt the way that this was shot and the way that this dialogue was happening, it seemed like a juice commercial.
Or for that juicer, at least.
Yeah. And Buffy's just bouncing around.
Yeah.
Macho man. I want to be a macho man. Anyway, see you, Mom. I got to go to cheerleading practice now.
Yeah, it's the first thing in the morning, cheerleader practice.
First thing in the morning.
Yeah, never an after school thing. It's right smack dab in the middle of the day.
Yep. So she's at school wasted, and she goes to cheerleading practice, and Xander is at cheerleading practice for some reason again.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, all right, I gotta fucking man up. I gotta tell her how I feel about her. And then Buffy is like being really bouncy and really ridiculous. And Xander's like, is it just me or does Buffy seem a little weird right now? And Willow's like, no, she's acting a little odd. She's on one.
Yeah. And we're like, hey, I wonder if that witch stuff is still happening.
Yeah.
Like, did we forget about that? Like,
Yeah.
did we forget that she's an alternate and they're wiping out cheerleaders? Nah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So then Buffy just launches some chick, which she does use her superpowers to fucking launch a lady, but in the worst way possible. She just sends her flipping through the gym.
Yeah. I thought that girl was going to be crumpled mess. I thought they were going to cut over and we were like, oh no.
Yeah, her knee is like in her ear now.
Yeah. Oh, and it's interesting. Buffy's the only one wearing a different pair of shoes during this thing too, which was okay, I guess. I don't know why. Like, she seemed like she was all in, but yeah.
So that's when Xander and Willow grab Buffy and they're like, oh, we're going to take her away. And the head cheerleader lady's like, well, great. We can't have Buffy on here now. Who are we going to have? And then pans to Amy. Mm-hmm. And then Buffy's like, you can't have her. She's a... And then Xander grabs her mouth and she's like, a wise choice. And then they drag Buffy out of there.
Just exactly what she was about to say.
Yeah. So then this is where Buffy is like being like super drunk honest with everybody around her. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I'm so glad you guys are my friends and only my friends. And you'll never be anything more than my friends, especially you, Xander. You're like the best friend a person could have. You're like one of the girls. Most other guys would want to date me, but not you, you pathetic loser. You gave me if anyone else gave me a bracelet, I'd think that they were trying to hit on me, but not you. Because you're a fucking cuck piece of shit. He's just sitting there like, great.
And I love Willow's look on her face when she says you're one of the girls. And like Willow's like, yeah, now you know how it feels.
Take it, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
But they drag her to Giles' office and he's like, oh, I know exactly what this is. This is a vengeance spell.
How did he hasn't known what any of the other spells were.
No.
But this one, he's like, oh, I know specifically this one. I was just reading about it.
Yeah, I see what this is. This is a vengeance spell. It makes you intoxicated, and then after that wears off, it kills you. And then she's like, how long do I have left? And he's like, couple hours. You got a couple hours, kid.
And then he actually like lifts his glasses up and like grabs the brow of like his nose, like, oh. This is so frustrating.
It's like, this bitch has only killed maybe one vampire. And now she's about to die.
Like, does another one just come up and replace her? Like, how does that work?
I would think so.
Yeah. And it's really weird that she's a vampire slayer, but a witch in high school could just
take her out.
Take her out. Like, she seems pretty easy to get rid of.
Yeah.
Like... Has no defenses. Like, he didn't go like, hey, wear this amulet. It'll protect you from witchcraft. Like, Giles didn't come up with anything like that. But as soon as she shows up, he's like, other people she just wanted to hurt. Like, the person that can't eat food anymore, or the girl who can't see, or the one that has no hands. But you, she wants to kill.
Yeah, the one that she almost made get into a car crash.
Yeah. Almost killed 4 people.
Yeah. At least 4 people.
Yeah. But she definitely wants to kill you because you spilled blue on her.
Yeah. So then they're like, all right, well, we got to go to fucking her house and investigate because she has to have a sacred witch space.
Yeah. They're like, where could she possibly be casting these spells? Her home?
Yeah. Like, where else?
What do you think? She's in high school.
Yeah.
You think she has a tree house that she's casting these in?
No, she's casting them in her downtown studio loft.
And apparently being a witch isn't that hard. You just need the book. Yeah. You just need
any book.
You just need any witchcraft book, and you need to be able to read at least 8th grade level. and you can cast spells.
So Giles and Buffy go to Amy's house where we see the mom, and the mom's just sitting down casually eating a plate of brownies.
And who do we know that only eats brownies?
Only Amy eats brownies.
It'd be amazing if Amy was super fat when we saw her at the end.
Right?
Because they talk about how much weight she lost, which I also don't get because it's not like school just started back up.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you have noticed that she lost weight the other episodes that you were friends with her? Whatever.
Well, maybe Willow just never, she didn't go to chemistry class those first 2 days.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then they knock on the door. The mom quickly hides the plate of brownies. Mm-hmm. And then they open up the door and Giles is like, your daughter is mixed up with some evil bullshit and you gotta show me where her room is. And the mom's like, she won't let me. And then she lets it slip. She says dad instead of my husband or my ex. Mm-hmm. And then Buffy looks over and sees the plate of brownies and she's like, wait a minute. You're not the mom. You're Amy.
She does the squint. She does the squint thing too, where she's putting it together. It's like,
Yeah. So she deduces that there's a Freaky Friday swap going on here where Amy is in the mom's body and the mom is in Amy's body because she wants to relive her glory days as a cheerleader, which I thought was a pretty good twist.
Pretty good twist. I mean, I thought the only reason I thought about this was because of the yearbook stuff and the picture that was in the trophy case.
Yeah.
That trophy case has a picture of one cheerleader in it, by the way.
Catherine the Great.
It doesn't have a picture of the team that won the awards or anything. Nope. It's just a picture, not even the team, the cheerleading team. The one cheerleader.
Yeah, I don't think that they have individual cheerleading awards.
No, not at the high school.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But I guess it's just because, she was so popular. She was homecoming queen and homecoming king until her fucking bullshit ass husband left her for some trailer trash.
It's nothing like peaking in high school and then becoming a witch and still not being able to get over it.
Right. So they're like, all right, well, you got to take me to your daughter's room or you got to take me to the witch's room or whatever. Yeah. And then so Amy's like, all right, well, she's going to kill me if she finds out. And then Giles is like, shut up, bitch. And he just waltzes into the room anyway. He's like, where are her books? We got to find literally any book.
Dude, this is my favorite part because there's 2 things here. One, he just looks over at a chest and there's like a candle and like something else on it and he wipes them off. It's not like covered up. It's just like 2 little things on the chest.
Yeah.
He opens it and we get a black cat jump scare.
The black cat jump scare got me.
I was just like, what? And I thought the weird part was when it cut back to him, I thought the cat was going to be like on him and he would be wrestling it or something, which would be really fun because I love when you throw a stuffed animal on a person and they're wrestling with it like it's real.
I love that too.
I love it so much. And they could have done it and they didn't.
Yeah. No, we don't see that black cat and we don't see it scurry away. It just jumps and then we see Giles like, whoa, oh, that was weird. What were you protecting? And then he finds the book. And then we see what happened to that cat?
Yeah, did it run out of the room? Was it just trapped in that bookcase? Like in that, whatever. It's
that
just
cat
a jump scare.
That cat should have been dead.
I don't know what was. So he pulls out a book and he's like, "Yeah, this will work."
Yeah, yeah. It's like, all right, well, we gotta go and do a reverse spell. Yeah. And the mom's like, where are you gonna do that? And he's like, school, duh. We only have budget for like one set.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, you don't have a lab or anything at your house? Like,
no.
There's no like science facility? Nope, we gotta go to the high school lab.
I also gotta say, I love Giles's like 1940s car that he's got.
Oh, I didn't pay attention to his car.
Dude, his car is so old and dilapidated, and like it would stand out very hard anywhere he went.
I mean, he's on a high school librarian salary, you know?
That is true. That is true. So they go back to the school to start doing the reverse spell. And now we're getting like cuts back and forth between them doing the spell and Amy, who is cheerleading at the basketball game. And, you know, she's complaining this whole episode about how she can't get her body to do the cheerleading that needs to be done. Yeah. And all they're doing is just like waving their arms. Like, it's not complicated. There's not a lot of like lifts and flips or anything.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, and it's like they're on the court. Like, it's the worst cheerleading I've ever seen.
It's so bad. That whole section where both teams run in at the same time.
Yeah.
From the same direction. It's just weird.
It's disgusting.
It's TV. It's TV sports thing, you know?
Yeah.
Where the gym's like half size.
Well, you can tell how big of a nerd Joss Whedon is because he doesn't know how sports work. And he's like, I guess the cheerleaders are on the court while the game is happening. Like, they're just like there at half court and, you know, people are playing. Like, they're so on the court.
Yeah.
And it's not impressive.
And they later do a lift.
Yeah.
Which I feel like that's a halftime thing.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know why Amy's on the top of that lift.
She was just a scrub.
She just got there. She's bottom all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, fucking what's his face? Giles is he's doing the spell, and then we start to see Amy and Amy's mom like swapping bodies back.
Mm-hmm.
And Amy's like, while she's on the lift, she falls over and knocks down a couple people like bowling pins.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, oh, they're trying to reverse the spell. I gotta go to the fucking science room. Yeah. The only one in the school. There's only one place. The school looks enormous.
Oh, yeah.
I would have to assume they have more than one lab.
No, most schools only have just one lab, right?
Dude,
Did you have two?
My school had several. It had like 3 or 4. And my school was not big.
Your school's big enough, though.
Yeah, but like, no, physically not big. Not a lot of students either. But like, this is a gigantic public school.
Yeah, I don't know. Of course they're going back to the lab with the frogs. She saw the frogs.
Yeah, I guess. She knew. So she storms out, like nobody chases her. Nobody's like concerned about what just happened. There's just like 2 dead cheerleaders on the court.
Yeah, and she's just walking down empty school hallways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Willow pops up and she's like, hey, how are you? Where are you going? And she's like, what? Get out of my way. And she's like, I can help you with your witchcraft.
She's like, I can help you. He's like, help me with what? The being a witch thing.
Yeah.
And
then Xander's sneaking up from behind her and she's like, I don't need your help. Turns around and then like force chokes Xander. She's got the force now.
Yeah.
And he's like, punches Willow, decks Willow in the fucking face.
I laughed so hard.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, she just punched the shit out of Willow.
Yeah.
Like, it's so aggressive.
Yeah. Willow hits the floor.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she dropped her.
No black eye.
No bruise.
We see Willow later. No black eye, no bruise, no nothing. Yeah. But anyway.
She got hit by a truck right there, too.
So she finally makes it to like the lab. The door's locked, obviously, because they know that she's coming because the mom is like, oh, Willow, she's here. She's coming. She grabs a nearby fire axe, starts to fucking The Shining to the door.
Yep.
And then just like blows the door off the hinges.
Yeah, it wasn't like she reached in and turned the knob. She just like kicks through the door after like axing it for a bit.
Yeah. And then she's walking towards Buffy, who's like laid out on a table, and she's about to fucking wail on her. And then just as she's about to attack Buffy, they swap bodies.
Yeah.
And then Amy.
Because Giles's magic is just saying release her or something. Yeah. he's like dipping his hands in like some like foaming stuff, and then he's like, release her. Release her. Release her. Or something. And then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, I guess that worked. Maybe, stop doing that and tackle the girl with the axe before she...
Yeah, or like Amy in the mom's body do something. She's just like standing there like gripping Giles's arm.
Yeah. And nobody has a thought process of, oh, once we switch this, I'm going to be standing right next to a witch.
Right?
Yeah.
And also like Amy was already in the process of swinging that axe down. Like even if they swap bodies...
I don't think she wound up that much.
That axe is coming down, dude. But anyway, so they swap bodies, and then Amy's looking around like, I'm back in my body. I'm back in my body. And then fucking another Ray Lewis fucking tackle to poor Amy. The mom just fucking Goldberg spears her.
Wait, doesn't she tackle Buffy? No, she tackles Buffy.
She tackles... Does she?
Because Buffy gets up off the table, and then she's standing there.
She tackles Amy. Buffy gets up off the table. She uses the force to push Buffy into the wall. I thought, isn't that what's happened? I don't know. These ladies are getting laid out.
No, maybe... Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe she does tackle Amy, because then Buffy says, hey... I'm better now, and then like uppercuts her across the room.
Yeah.
And then she get force pushed against the wall. Which, to me, once you realize the witch has powers other than having to cast spells, she could have just been like knocking people over in tryouts.
Exactly, dude. Like that makes no fucking sense.
Like you could have been like, and you slipped, and you fell over.
And like she's using, like she pushed Buffy like so hard, flung her across the room. Like it would take no effort for her to just like wave a finger and just be like, boop, your foot like goes out from under you. And then it's like, nobody has to die. Nobody has to have no mouth. Yeah. Nobody has to have fire hands. You just get your way in the easiest way and most inconspicuous way possible.
Yeah. Low-key witchcraft. That's what we're trying to teach people. Low-key witchcraft.
Yes.
Little stuff. You do big stuff, then you're going to get a slayer on your ass. Little stuff, they're like, that's just a weird incident.
You just subtly Darth Vader some people.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. But no, and then this is when the mom stands up and she has to give her villain speech of like, I was going to be the fucking best cheerleader again, and my daughter was just using her carcass as like just to live a normal life, and what a waste of life. And then she's like, I'm going to fucking put an end to you, Buffy. But before all this, she throws a table into Giles, and he's like incapacitated.
He gets hit in the waist with the table that she like kicks at him. And he, as soon as I saw him fall back, I was like, oh my God, he's knocked out.
Yep.
Like nothing hit his head. Nothing. Yeah.
So then she starts to use like force lightning on Buffy, and Buffy kicks something that's like a mirror, and it just bounces off of it and goes back to her.
Well, yeah, she says, I'm going to get rid of Amy once and for all because she's a waste of life or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she's like charging up. Her eyes are all black. There's like these magical sparkles going around her. Just stuff that I didn't know she had capability of doing. That wasn't in the book. Like she can do all this and cast spells. Giles can reverse the spells, but also can't do any of that other stuff. So, but then she goes to shoot pink laser stuff at Amy.
Mm-hmm.
And
no, I thought that she was shooting it at Buffy.
No, she said she wanted to trap Amy, but it did look like it was aimed at Buffy.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Because Buffy kicked something from the ceiling.
It looked like it was a chalkboard, maybe. I couldn't tell what she kicked. But is magic... How did she know magic would reflect or ricochet? Like,
no idea.
I don't think that's how magic works.
I don't think so either, Vance. Vance, you know what? I think the shows might be a bunch of bullshit.
She kicks something and it magic ricochets back at the witch.
Yeah.
She just disappears.
Yeah, poof. Now Amy's got no more parents.
Well, she still has her dad somewhere.
Yeah.
Because somehow the witch mom didn't kill the dad.
Yeah, right?
I was like, he's dead, right? Like, he disappeared. Nope, he just actually left.
So, yeah, then the mom just blows up, I guess, and then that's the end of that. Then we get a scene of Buffy's mom trying to bond with Buffy, and she just like sits on her bed with her, and she's like, look, I gotta admit, I'm just never gonna get you. And Buffy's like, that's okay. She's like, would you ever want to be 16 again? And the mom's like, fuck no, that shit was awful.
And Buffy's like, phew, that means I don't have to worry about you getting into witchcraft and switching bodies with me.
Yeah.
Like, it's like...
So, yeah.
Then and they're friends again. They're friendly parents again somehow.
Yeah. Then we go back to the school and Buffy's walking with Amy, and Cordelia takes her time to walk by and fucking bully them. And she's like, I'm back on the cheer squad and you two aren't. You guys are losers. And they're like, okay, thanks, Cordelia. You remember when you almost killed 4 people?
Do you remember when you were blind the other day? Like, did nothing? Did no one seems to care that 3 cheerleaders, 4 of them were injured?
Yep.
And the whole time Amy's walking and talking about like, hey, my dad's so overprotective now and he doesn't want me going out. And I'm like, Dad, I can go out. And Buffy's like, you love it, don't you? She's like, I do. We're making brownies tonight. It was my idea. I'm like, chill out with the brownies. Like, you have a problem. Like, you have a brownie addiction. Like,
yeah. It definitely is a problem for
As
her.
a mom, she just had a plate of brownies.
Yeah.
Like, you switched bodies with you've been switched bodies with your mom, and you decide, you know what? I should just bake a big pan of brownies.
Yeah.
Like,
she had a plate of like 6 cosmic brownies.
Yeah. like chill out.
Yeah. But then we go and we look at the picture of Catherine the Great again. And then we get a zoom in. And all the while we're hearing Buffy and Amy still talk. She's like, and Amy's like, I think I'm going to get fat now. And then Buffy's like, oh, I hear that's a good look this time of year or whatever. And then we get a zoom in of the trophy. And they're like, well, do you know where your mom is? And she's like, I have no idea what happened to her. And then we zoom in on the trophy. And it's these awful, awful special effect eyes. And you just hear a muffled, like, her mom's voice, like,
yeah,
which I thought was so creepy looking just because of how awful it looked.
Dude, I loved it. For me, that, like, saved the whole episode because of how awkward and creepy it looked.
Yeah.
And, like, horrifying.
It's like early CGI, like, remember like when they tried to like make babies in Toy Story or like human faces?
Yeah.
All the human faces look horrifying.
You get the uncanny valley. Yeah.
Yes, this had that for me. It was so goofy but haunting.
Yeah, like it's an image that will stick with you. Like,
yes,
the episode is like, okay, a lot of weird stuff happened in it, a lot of effect stuff. I thought the fire in the hands was really good. But that ending where they're like, hey, she said she was going to send me somewhere where I'd never come back from, so I don't think we'll see mom again. And then they just zoom in on that statue.
And that statue's not going anywhere. That's just a part of the school, and the mom's going to be there forever.
Until Buffy burns it down.
Oh, next episode.
So we had to rebuild the school.
Yeah, where they're fighting werewolves instead of vampires.
Yeah.
Good Lord. So yeah, that's the episode, everybody. That's what it was. That's our little recap. That's what our thoughts, our reaction. You have anything you want to add, Vance?
Yeah, I feel like you got to try harder to stop the witchcraft when someone's hand set on fire.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how the jig isn't up for Buffy. Like, everywhere she goes, anything activity she gets involved in, anywhere she is, there is tragedy.
And so Amy had a witch for a mom, so witchcraft exists. Yep. Amy knows that.
Yep.
Amy may be a character we never see again.
Yep, most likely.
Yeah.
I feel like,
But wow.
you know who should take up Witchcraft? And like, obviously, we've never watched this before. We don't know the trajectory of characters. Maybe Xander or Willow learn some Witchcraft.
Okay, at least Willow has the computer and research ability.
Yeah.
Xander right now has nothing to add.
Yeah, he's
Like-
the one that's like, we're a team, right? It's like, what are you bringing to the table?
Yeah, like when he shows up afterwards and he's like grabbing Amy because he thinks he doesn't know about the body switch thing.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, go now, cut off her head. He's like, and then Willow shows up with the baseball bat, like ready to fight. And they're like, no, guys, it's fine. They don't explain why it's fine or what happened. They're just like,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Just take their word for it. It's fine.
I will say, when that axe came out, I was really excited for a beheading. Because the axe was there, and I was
An
like,
off-screen beheading because
I-
they don't do any violence on this.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, they're going to have to cut that mom's head off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, how are they going to explain this when someone comes to clean up the lab and there's an axe through door? Like, who's doing maintenance on the school?
And a bunch of like green witch blood all over the fucking ground.
man.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So yeah, this school's got problems. Like they
Yeah.
talk about how like this is like, oh, this is the only school that will take Buffy, and now we're seeing why. Because like nobody there's no oversight at all.
Oh, and I wanted to say, the mom keeps bringing up, like, you got kicked out of school. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, if we were going to do timelines, basketball was played in the winter, so she's been there all fall. It's time to move on and stop bringing up her getting in trouble at
Yeah.
the last school. Like, you're trying to move on. The mom's like, but I don't know. It's just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's the episode for Witch. Stay tuned next week for when we break down the episode Teacher's Pet.
Okay, teacher's pet.
What do you think this is gonna be? You think this is somebody casting a love spell on a teacher?
That's not a bad one. Or someone being obsessed with the teacher. Yeah.
Okay.
But the pet thing is actually making me think more literal than there's gonna be some type of animal creature. I'm gonna
Double
go
up.
animal creature type thing.
That's smart.
Maybe the
Double entendre.
killer gerbil or something.
Maybe that cat from this episode.
Yeah. That cat gets a recurring role.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to Boys Watching Buffy. We'll see you next time. Later.
Great parenting form. A little shaky on the dismount.
Seltzer Kings.
Podcasts.